Jayson Tatum gets hurt in the win over Sacramento, but there might be some good news here. I'm going to give it to you right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Yup. Being down, be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Back to back, if I say it, it's stamp. Locked on number 19, the best one, the next one. Juice loose in your pool now for the next run. It's the C's, who else could it be? What they gon' say now? Screaming like JT, Karalis, recap the madness. Every game, every practice. Best daily pod, no cap like Brad Beckett. Clutch like Drew to KP, tap in daily. Primetime dapping D White on the sideline. Raining Jays, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day, and I got you covered every Monday through Friday with a free podcast that drops directly to your favorite podcasting app. So make sure you're subscribed to get it. You can also watch the show on YouTube, get into the comment section, share your thoughts, let me know what you're thinking about this game, about what I said, or whatever you want. I'm John Karalis. If you're new to the show, I have been covering the Boston Celtics for about 20 years now, and I'm doing it as a beat writer for Boston Sports Journal. I've also written a couple of books about the Celtics. You can Google those, go onto Amazon, search my name, buy my books if you'd like. Today's show is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKDOWNNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. The Celtics beat the Sacramento Kings 113-95. No one cares that they beat the Kings. All they care about, all you care about, is Jayson Tatum, who landed on Domantas Sabonis' foot after a reckless closeout, sprained his left ankle. It looked bad. He went down. He stayed down for a while. So right away, everybody's thinking, wow, Jayson Tatum never has this reaction to an injury. He never is like pounding on the floor or writhing. He usually stays down for a second, gets up, shakes it off. He is one of the most durable players that we've seen in the NBA, and he prides himself in that. And so seeing him on the floor for a while there was disheartening. So he shoots his free throw for the flagrant, and then he left. And it didn't come back. They didn't need him to come back. After the game, he was apparently in the locker room. No boot. He left the arena, according to Adam Himmelsbach of the Globe. Left the arena, no crutches, no boots, no cane, no nothing. Just him and his shoes and the slightest of limps. So that's the good news. The good news is that it appears to be just a sprain. There is some level of imaging at these arenas, so they probably got a quick look at it to see how bad it was. And I'm assuming that they're not going to let him leave the arena without a boot, without crutches, if there's any hint of anything else at play. So even if he said it feels good and they didn't get a chance to take any kind of images, I don't think they would take a chance with Jayson Tatum, especially. No offense to like somebody else, but with Tatum, there would be no questions. There would be no opening left if he didn't get an image, if they didn't feel comfortable with him being, dealing with just a sprained ankle. I don't think they would have let him leave under his own power like that. I mean, hell, probably would have carried him out if they needed to. But so leaving under his own power without the boot, that's a great sign to me. That said, my plea to Jayson Tatum, it's the same plea anytime it comes to him resting at all. It's take your time with this. Take your time. There's literally no reason to come back without that ankle being 100%. No reason. He's played a ton of minutes. He's got his cardio is in a good place. He can afford a few days off. If he takes Wednesday night Phoenix game, Saturday night, so there's a couple of days off there. Saturday night in San Antonio, take that day off. Hell, take the following Monday off in Memphis. So 3 games off would get Tatum really 8 days of rest. If it's a sprained ankle and it doesn't seem to be as serious as it looked, because let me be clear, if you didn't see the replay, it looked bad. That ankle looked fully turned. And if there's one thing I know about, it's sprained ankles. I have sprained my ankle probably a dozen times at this point. I got nothing left in that ankle. So it looked like an ankle. Like if he's never sprained that ankle before, that would be like a long layoff. Now he has sprained that ankle before. So if you don't know how a sprained ankle works, each time you sprain it, it doesn't quite bounce back the same way. It doesn't have that same elasticity. My ankle, at this point, I can completely turn my ankle, and within like an hour, I'm like, oh, yep, it's fine. But the downside is every once in a while, it just hurts for no reason. The more you turn that ankle, first of all, the more susceptible you are. Remember Steph Curry and all of his ankle issues? Look at what he has to do to keep his ankles in place. You know, the braces, the tape, and all of that stuff. Like it's hard to play 82 games plus playoffs on ankles that are prone to turning. But anyway, the point is, the more you turn the ankle, the quicker you bounce back the next time you turn the ankle. So I think there might actually be a little something of that at play when it comes to Tatum. So walking out under his own power, totally fine with that. Take the next week off, even if you feel good, even if the San Antonio game comes around or the Memphis game comes around, you say, no, I feel good. Take the extra day. Come home, take the 2 weeks to start ramping back up again. Don't worry about it. Tatum has played his 65 games. He qualifies for all the postseason awards. So he'll get his All-NBA. He'll get, well, I don't think he's going to get anything else, but he'll get his All-NBA, right? And that's what he's looking for. He'll get his MVP votes, however many he gets at this point. But that's the good news. And so I think breathe a sigh of relief when it comes to Jayson Tatum. Jaylen Brown also came back. The game actually happened, so let's talk about the game and how the Celtics were able to pull away without Tatum and without Jaylen Brown in the fourth quarter. That's next. Today's show is brought to you by our good friends at Monarch Money, who know what it's like when you check your bank account and you go, there's not as much money as I thought in there. Where did it go? And then you realize I've gone out a few times. I've gone out on a couple of dates. I've spent a little bit of money on food or on entertainment. Well, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. It's your personal CFO. It gives you complete, full visibility and control over your finances. It's not just a budgeting app. Monarch Money is a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, your investments, and spending in one place. Stop managing your money. Start building wealth. You can get a sense of all of the things you may not realize. It's very easy to, with cards and with you pay by phone, you just click, beep, 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 and all of a sudden your money's gone. With Monarch Money, you can budget smarter and save. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch Money to check your finances, track spending, plan long-term goals. If you have a partner, you can get together with your husband, wife, partner, whomever, and track shared personal accounts, set goals, stay on the same page without all the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. undoubtedly.com, code LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out the Locked On Celtics newsletter. It's great if you miss a show. All you got to do is go to LockedOnDaily.com, enter your email, click on that Locked On Celtics logo, enter your email, and then you're all set. After that, Monday through Friday, I'll send you an email with Locked On Celtics coverage, Celtics coverage based on the podcast. If you miss a show, that's a great way to keep up. But you also get NBA coverage. Fantasy coverage is starting to wind down, but we're at the tail end of it. You still get your fantasy coverage, and you get links to Celtics coverage around the internet. So go check that out. LockedOnDaily.com. So the actual basketball game, by the way, Jayson Tatum was great in this game before he got hurt. Played 26 and a half minutes, 25 points, 8 assists, 7 rebounds. So he still got 8 assists. He was on his way to a triple-double. And the game was close enough where even if he had gotten pulled right around the time where he hit that three-pointer and got hurt, he might have come back in the middle of this. He could have gotten this triple-double. He was on his way to a very similar 30.9 rebound, 9 assist night as he had in Utah. Again, Tatum, total control of the game. Very easy. He had 3 turnovers early on, but then nothing after the first quarter. He makes it look easy. This is the best basketball Tatum has played, which is why the injury is kind of upsetting, because you're like, I hope he can continue this role when he comes back, and you hope he's not out too long. But again, he really can take off the rest of the regular season for all we care. Who cares, right? Just get ready for the playoffs. Anyway, they broke away in the fourth quarter when Tatum was in the back and Jaylen Brown was on the bench. Derrick White, Kristaps Porzingis, Peyton Pritchard, Luke Kornet, and Baylor Scheierman was the lineup for a big stretch of that. And they were able to pull away. They won that fourth quarter 25-17. That's a big defensive quarter. The Kings aren't really great at finishing games. I think the Kings are very easily demoralized at this point. They kind of hung tough, but the Celtics won every quarter. They won the first quarter by 1. They won the second quarter by 4. They won the third quarter by 5. And, this double-digit lead. And the Celtics kind of nursing these double-digit leads there for a little while. And then in the fourth quarter, Zach LaVine hits a three-pointer. You start to feel like maybe there's a little bit of momentum here. It looked like the Celtics could pull away. The Kings made a little run. LaVine hits that shot. Celtics call a timeout. Out of that timeout, 12-0 run, all still without Jaylen Brown. Obviously, Jayson Tatum never came back in this game. That's a big finish for the Celtics. So a nice, strong finish. Like I said, Scheierman, Pritchard hit some shots. Derrick White. Fourth quarter, Derrick White is just, he's great. Derrick White is great. And he had a nice contribution here on a night where Jaylen Brown really didn't do anything. Listen, he's chasing the 65 games. He absolutely is chasing the 65 games. I don't blame him for chasing 65 because that's the rules, right? That's the that's the system. And what do you need? Well, what else can I say? This was his 57th game, so he needs to play 8 more. The Celtics have, how many do they have remaining here? Is it 10? They have now played, 62 games, 72 games. So they have 10 games left. Jaylen can only miss 2 more. And at this point, I think he's just going to try to gut it out. And if he's going to sit any, it'll be the last 2, or maybe one of the back-to-backs, the remaining back-to-back, because there's one more on the road in a couple of weeks. Regardless, 2 games left for him to miss before, to still catch that 65. I'm not mad at him for chasing 65. The system is what it is. This is the ultimate don't hate the player, hate the game kind of scenario. There are legacies involved. This isn't just, yes, he wants to win a championship. He's going to do what he needs to do to win a championship. Even if he's playing at half speed in these games, kind of doesn't matter. The Celtics aren't playing for anything. So he's not hurting the team necessarily. If he's not hurting himself anymore, then let him play his 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and then sit him down. Let him get to his 65 games and then sit him the last couple, however you need to do it. I hope that that he's able to play through it and still be good for the playoffs. If he's not, if it starts to hurt and he can't make it, and there's a question of, are you going to be able to be 100% in typical Jaylen Brown for the playoffs? Can you get there playing these games, or are you not going to get there playing these games? If you're not, then Jaylen's going to have to come to grips with it's not happening this year. And look, it's tough for a player like Jaylen, who I think he's going to be a Hall of Famer. But man, another All-NBA just adds to that resume, solidifies that resume. This is ultimately his job, his livelihood, his legacy, the mark he wants to put on this game. And if this 65 game thing didn't exist, then maybe he'd take an extra few games off. The league put this thing in there, and I can see why players chase it. So it's not ideal. And maybe this was just a bad game. It's his first game back, and he's trying to figure it out. All I'm saying is he didn't look great. He didn't look like he had his normal burst. He kind of looked like a shell of himself out there to me. He had a couple of little moments where you're like, oh, okay. And he had a couple moments where he was defending Domantas Sabonis and he was holding his own. So I'm not going to say it was a full 25 minutes of Jaylen being, less than, but 8 shots, 4 of 8 is nice, but only 9 points for Jaylen. Like it also, you run the risk of having a few bad games here, trying to play through this injury and falling out of the All-NBA race just on your own, just organically. People are going to be like, "Whoa, what a bad finish." That's my tiebreaker not to include him. We'll have to wait and see. I'm just going to assume that he's playing against Phoenix. I'm assuming he's going to be playing against all of these teams. Maybe they can convince him to take San Antonio. You say, hey, look, San Antonio is going to be a day off, so you can get another 4 days, and then one of the back-to-backs, and then you play the rest. But at the same time, if he sprains it, you just saw what happened to Jayson. If Jaylen falls on somebody's foot, then the whole thing is done. It's over. And you don't want to do that with, only 2 games to spare. This is a very difficult scenario. I can understand if you're looking at this or listening to this and being like, no, you got to do whatever you need to do to be right for the playoffs. And I agree, but I'm also not fighting Jaylen on the 65 thing because I totally understand why you would do it. I totally understand why that's important. So it's going to have to be a balance. The number one question is, does playing hurt him to a point where he's not going to be himself in the playoffs? If that's the case, then you got to sit and you got to sacrifice. You got to sacrifice the All-NBA, and I'm sorry. But if it's not the case, if they think he can play through it and still be okay, and the week off before the playoffs is going to be enough, then and maybe you just sit him the last 2 games of the schedule. And so he plays Phoenix, San Antonio, Memphis, comes back, plays Miami, Phoenix, Washington, New York, Orlando. He plays 20 minutes of dogging it, and as soon as he gets to the 20 minutes, you pull him. It counts as 65, and then he sits Charlotte at home, gets that whole week off. It's a week and a half. Maybe that's the plan, and you maximize how much time off he has before the playoffs. I'll leave that up to the team, but you can scream at me if you want in the comments. I get it. I totally get it. You're justified in screaming. Back to the game, back to the fourth quarter, back to Baylor Scheierman and Peyton Pritchard and all of those guys when I come back. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out Locked On NBA and Locked On NBA Game Night. Subscribe to the Locked On NBA podcast. You get both. And I'm on the Locked On NBA Game Night on Fridays with Jake Madison, covering every game in the association from that night. So go check that out. Subscribe to one feed. You get two podcasts. So the Celtics started out sloppy, and the Kings took a 9-point lead. Tatum takes over and has a brilliant end of quarter, and the Celtics kind of never trailed after that. Baylor Scheierman comes in and continues to earn minutes. I still don't think Scheierman is going to get any playoff run, but I don't know, man. He keeps making these plays, the hustle plays, the defensive plays, the rebounding. 2 offensive rebounds were big, 7 total rebounds. The 1 assist came from one of his 2 steals, an amazing play where he missed the shot in the corner and started to run back and then cut back and stole a pass in the backcourt, and lefty behind the back. I say, as I'm saying it, I realize, like, what do you mean? He is a lefty. So a normal behind the back pass for him. It's just lefty just looks cool. To Pritchard underneath, I think it was, for the layup. And then the ICU, the court vision goggles. That was a nice moment for him. Scheierman is a player, man. He's a player. Sometimes these guys getting picked late, second round, or for Scheierman, 30th, probably lower than you think you're going to go. Sometimes that's the boost that you need to be like, you know what? I got a lot of people to prove wrong. And when you're picked 30th, the only team you don't have to prove wrong is your own team. But even that, they sent him to the G League. He spent most of his time in Maine. And now here he is getting these minutes, 28 minutes, and he's a solid contributor. He was plus 17 in this game. Only Peyton Pritchard was better. Pritchard, great off the bench. The Celtics bench, incredible production. 46 points off the bench. The Celtics bench averages 29.5 points per game. They're the 5th lowest scoring bench in the league. And here they get 46 points from their bench, and they outscore the Sacramento bench 46-18. So I'm sure from the Sacramento side, you look at it and you go, like, on a night where the Celtics had their normal starting 5, you can't have your bench get outscored by 28 points. That's a recipe for disaster. And even then, the Kings had their chances. But the Kings, look, just as a side note, watching somebody like DeMar DeRozan, who is a really good basketball player, but just he's not going to lead you to a whole lot in the NBA because he doesn't shoot threes. He doesn't want to shoot those 3-pointers. And you need to sometimes. He was 0-4 from 3 in this game. I get it, but they were down 18 with only a few minutes to go, and he had a good look from 3. You got to take it. You got to take it with confidence, or else they're just going to leave you. And that's what the Celtics did. They put Porzingis on DeRozan and let him roam. But you have to keep shooting that. You have to keep shooting that. And you're down 18 in that situation. the good look, you just got to take it and just say that next one is going in. But the Kings just never quite get there. Like I said, their fourth quarters have been terrible for them. At this point of the season, they're done. They're in a free fall. It's not good in Sacramento. And it's part of why the Celtics were able to hold them to 17 in the fourth and have the fourth quarter that they did. But, Tatum leaves. Jaylen, like I said, is obviously not himself. Holiday couldn't hit a shot. It was 2 of 11. He was 0 of 6 in the second half. In the fourth quarter, the big contributors were the bench guys, Pritchard, Kornet, Scheierman. 15 points between the two of them. You got 6 out of Derrick White because Derrick White's Mr. Fourth Quarter. I trust him implicitly in the fourth quarter. He had 4 of his assists in the fourth quarter because the other guys were hitting shots. He finished with 8 assists. So nice finish. It's a nice win. Porzingis just going down individual performances. Porzingis was decent in this game. Didn't shoot well, but he was decent. Some decent rim protection. Got himself a tech. He admitted after the game, he's like, I was a bit of a hothead, which is, hey, at least he owned it, right? Like I said, Derrick White was good. Drew Holiday was a plus 16, but his offense was just, he couldn't hit a thing. 2 of 11, 1 of 5 from 3. But was on the floor for the impactful portion of it. Luke Kornet, I haven't mentioned him yet, but Luke, the road dog, continues his great play off the bench. 6 of 7. So he's 12 of his last 13 because he was 6 of 6 in the last game. He has 10 offensive rebounds in his last 3 games. He had 4 in this one. 21 total rebounds over his last 3 games. 10 of them are offensive. That's big. That's big for Kornet. Just out there protecting the rim, a block shot, a steal, putbacks, catch a lob, do whatever you need. Luke has been great. So far, it's a great road trip. 6 wins in a row now for Boston. And now they hit to Phoenix. Phoenix is playing well. Phoenix is now on a little bit of a roll. They've won 4 games in a row. They're fighting for the play-in. They're in a tie with Dallas. I think they own the tiebreaker with Dallas. So Phoenix is playing well, and they're going to be trying hard. So I don't know how Wednesday night's going to go. I would be shocked if Tatum plays, but with Tatum, you never know. I want him to sit, but he'll probably want to play. He'll probably want to play against Kevin Durant. So just save him for himself and just rule him out. Medically, just rule him out. He's not 100%. Sit him out. Sorry. Phoenix comes back later in the season. He can play then. But that'll be a tough game, one way or the other. So that'll put the Celtics win streak in some jeopardy. So another late game, another late podcast, but I will be here for you. So make sure you're subscribed after you make sure you are subscribed. I got this. Big finish here. Strong finish to the quarter. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts. This show will drop directly to your favorite podcasting app. If you do, you can watch the show on YouTube and you can get into the comment section, share your thoughts, share your opinions. I'd love to see them. And then I would love it if you shared the podcast and told everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.